welcome to another episode of Iconic Freedom, the Formula. We are setting the standard for accountability and responsibility, the ownership of your choices and the consequences for those choices. Let each care for self, and all will be cared for.
Wait, what do you know about the unknown that I don't know?
Only this, that for a ghost to pass through, they must first know where they want to go.
That guy.
Well, to be fair, that guy can't see the magic.
He feels like a stranger, honestly. He has no idea what destiny has in store for him.
Life is a series of choices.
You believe that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Good morning and welcome to, 2025 and this year's podcast of the Formula, setting a standard for accountability and responsibility, and it's your standard. It's the one that you decide for yourself. You can make the life that you want. What's so great about those clips, and that's a little revisit from last week, but what's so great about those clips is how they really do pertain to an individual's life and the reality of that life. So during my week, when I knew that this was how I was going to kick off this year, I started taking notes for myself. And one of the things at the beginning of those clips where they were talking, that had to do with Charles Dickens, that take on A Christmas Carol, and a ghost deciding whether or not they want to keep doing the ghost thing or they want to go into another life. But, the whole thing was about going through the door of the unknown, right? And you do that every day you wake up. It's all unknown to you. You have ideas, you have things that you'd like to accomplish, but in reality, it is all unknown to you. And the thing that occurs to me is something that I've said previously, that you can't know where you're going if you don't know what it is that you're already doing. If you're trying to accomplish a life and have experiences in this life, then it requires you to self-evaluate. And in those areas where you have transgression of your own formula, of your own standards, then you have to self-correct, right? And the other thing that occurs to me is that, my one and only job in this life, your one and only job in this life, the thing that I tell myself, I remind myself is, Greg, you do you your way. Again, in the words of like Paul Anka and Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. Yeah, absolutely. You do you. Now, what's great about that, and sometimes people mistaken that phrase for just do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. And the reality is those choices that you make are made with responsibility and accountability. So that's one of the things that we're going to kick this off with, is talking about some very basics. And hopefully this next month or so, we will revisit these basics and break them down in a way that hopefully it gives you new perspective on things we've talked about, and maybe reminds you of some things that we had talked about previously that you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, because now your consciousness is ready to take those things in. The fundamental of creating your own formula in life is really predicated on the consciousness of choice. In every situation, you have a choice. Often we see choice as only something that we attribute to a large decision in life. I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to change my job, I'm going to get married, whatever. But the reality is that everything you do and say in your life is a choice. It is your choice, but it is a choice. Just as a recap reminder, what is reality? It is the absence of emotion and the cognitive observation of what is being experienced, what is heard and seen in that moment. Emotions are simply those small little indicators of alert for you to pay attention to something. And, the phrase I love is listen for the whisper, the tap, and the slap. So, the whisper, the tap, and the slap. Life will whisper in your ear, it will tap you on the shoulder, and it will slap you across the face until you pay attention. And I love living my life at the whisper. It whispers to me, and I respond. And over the years of trusting myself and building that trust for myself, I don't even question it. It comes and I respond. And most often I do things that I just respond. I'm just living life. I'm not processing it. I'm not contemplating it. I'm not going through this whole thing of angst, that sometimes we do to ourselves. I did it for years. But in the movie clip, we see the characters attributing life being a series of choices as a belief. However, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that reality, that is natural law. Reality is natural law, and choices as a belief, nope, that's not what it is. It is a reality. You make a choice, there is an outcome. And it's not a belief. It is something that you know. We've talked previously about belief is, I believe something. Well, it's because you don't really have any information. You just have a feeling about something. When you say you think of something that, I think it might be this way, it's because you have some information, but maybe you need more information. When you get to a place where you know something, it's because you've explored it and you have integrated it into your life, and you know for certain X, Y, and Z about yourself or about life or whatever the subject might be. The great thing about your own freedom is, especially when you're exploring your own formula and your own standards, is that you can be pliable. You can, when you get more information, you can adjust. You can recalibrate. Oftentimes you'll see people, especially on TV and politicians and all that, they paint themselves into a corner because they get self-righteous. They think that everything they say is right for everyone. I don't know that. I don't know what's right for you. I can tell you about some of my experiences, and from that you can take whatever you wish and leave the rest behind. You can say, oh, I like that concept, or I like that idea. I think I'm going to try that out and see how that works for me. And then you can tweak it for yourself. Why? Because you have the opportunity and the freedom to make that decision. So the other thing is that I want to make sure I talk about is whatever the choice that the body makes with actions or words is the internal nature of the individual exposed. It's you, it's me, it's everyone. Whatever actions and words a person is saying, someone is saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, and especially if they've said something that, we look at and like, that's interesting. It is nature revealing itself. While your consciousness may want to ignore or manipulate the truth, the reality will always reveal itself, eventually, no matter what. Sometimes it can be instantaneously, and sometimes it can take a while. But you will see through observation that reality always gets exposed. I was telling friends last night at dinner that you can ignore reality, but it will not ignore you. Now, there's always a thing of people thinking that they don't have choice. Well, what if a person doesn't know they have choice? Okay. Hey, listen, I was that guy. I was that guy that didn't think I had choice. And it was only through my own development, my own evolution, and my own paying attention that I realized I do have a choice in everything that I do. And I thought, wow, that's like really remarkable. The choice that I'm sitting here talking to you, the choice of the music that I choose, or the clips that I have, or the words that I say, the actions that I take. Everything that I do, I have a choice, and I make the choice. And every choice has an agenda of an outcome, right? So every choice has a decision of what I would like to do. What would make me enjoy this experience more and more? Because when I look at it, and I've tested this, and test it for yourself, every choice that you make in this life, no matter how big or small, always comes down to you want to feel satisfaction. You want to feel good, however you define good, but you want to feel satisfaction in the choice. And in the endeavor to do that, sometimes people will try to manipulate or try to control an outcome. And every choice that you have has an agenda of an outcome. You get up, you walk to the kitchen, you start to make dinner. It's because you have an agenda of an outcome. You're hungry. Your body is telling you to eat, right? So this is in its simplest form, but if you do like I did and you go through a period of time where you are dissecting all of your choices, all of your agendas of outcome to those choices, you will start to find for yourself, especially if you choose not to scam yourself and to be true and honest with yourself, you will find that every time you go after a choice, whatever it is, brush your teeth, comb your hair, for women, put it on your makeup. Maybe for some guys, they put on their makeup, but whatever that is, it's so that you feel satisfaction. So here is the rub of all of that, is to lose the attachment of the agenda to the outcome. That you make the choice, you bless the opportunity, and then you let it unfold. Now, this isn't necessarily something that is like, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to, this is something that will happen for you, most likely, as I've seen it happen for myself and others, in a split second. It's boom, 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 and it's already happening. But like a baby, like a child, you're learning to walk. So, you pull yourself up and you hold yourself against the table and you're sitting there trying to figure it out. And, all of a sudden you take a step and then you take another step and then you take another step. And after a while, what is it that you see a child do? At some point, they're running and they're doing it unabashedly. They have no fear and they're enjoying the exploration of it. And that's the same thing about your choices, developing your own standard and making those choices. Every time you make a choice where you're trying to force an outcome, you're attached to the outcome and you're not allowing nature to take its course. You're not allowing the universe to in a sense, support you and partner with you in the life that you want to have, in the outcomes that you hope to enjoy. When I make a choice, I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Okay, and we're just going to let it happen. I don't make decisions thinking, I'm going to say this to that person because I hope this happens, or I hope they say this, or I'm going to tell them to do this because I want this to go on. It's like, no, I present and then I let that person choose. And whenever you're not allowing a person choice, you are trying to manipulate or control them. Let me say this, when you manipulate an attempt to control, you are not trusting yourself to be able to manage whatever comes your way. So you try to manipulate others in your personal theater stage production in hopes that it goes to what? That it goes to that agenda that you want to have happen. that you have some sort of an agenda and you want that outcome to be as you wish it to be, instead of making a choice and then letting the universe unfold before you. Let life unfold before you. But when you attempt to manipulate and control, then you're really not trusting yourself to be able to respond to whatever is happening. Making a choice, offering a choice, letting go of the agenda towards an outcome will, guaranteed, it will free you from anxiety, your stress, the disorder, your unhappiness, all of those things that you see all of these, gurus out there talking about, oh, you can free your life. Yeah. And then they want to give you, this 12-step process that you have to do or whatever it is, and meditate and yam nama and all that good stuff. Anyway, the funny thing about it is that it really is just about making a choice, and in the choice, the responsibility. You trust yourself to be able to figure out whatever the outcome presented. And in making your choices with responsibility, you understand that if you cannot respond to an outcome, then reflection on making the choice to begin with is required of you. It is an obligation that belongs to you. Now, some people will be flippant with that. They won't think anything about it. They'll be very whimsical. They will make choices that impact others and off the backs of other people. Well, that's not really how it works, because in the pursuit of do no harm to others, that could be harming people in ways that we don't know. Now, it's for them to figure out. If you're doing that and you're having that impact, then it's for those other people to figure out for themselves how they want to interact with you. Responsibility is the response ability, that ability to respond to a choice, any choice in this life. I use the example of getting up out of bed and going to your kitchen and, making coffee or making your breakfast and satisfying whatever that desire is. But you don't know what that outcome is going to be. But if you are paying attention to your choices, you're making decisions, you're making choices, selections of things to go towards an outcome of satisfaction. But the nice part about life is letting it unfold and seeing the magic of all those things in collaboration and in partnership with the universe. One of the things that happens with a lot of people is they get into self-deception. And I'm going to tell you, this is huge. And the only way of getting through that self-deception is self-evaluation. It is the only way through it. That your experiences have to be recognized as opportunities for self-evaluation and responsibility. Now that you have this information from a choice that you made, what are you going to do with it? A lot of times people will think, oh, well, I made a choice. So, okay, then that's that. Wash my hands of it. No. All these other things are going to start happening in life. So now that you have information, what are you going to do about it? When you make a choice and an outcome occurs, you have information. Now what are you going to do? And then you make another choice. And now what are you going to do? So, adulting is a responsibility, right? I mean, it's a big job. But you can move yourself to a place with such ease and grace and beauty in your life that it is second nature to you. You move to a place where you never even think about it. You hardly ever think about it because you already know, I'm moving through life by making choices of integrity and character, and I have forged those qualities by being responsible in my choices and being accountable. And those are other topics that we will talk about in the future as well, because they're important. They all create this formula. It's like that periodic table we talked about. It creates this formula which gives you the life that you're desiring, that you're hoping for. But it all has to do with you. And another component of this is bringing order through your choices, creating efficiency and allowing for other opportunities. If your life is in disarray and disorder, and you feel like, oh, I'm coming and going, it's this, it's that, and you're all crazy about stuff, it's because you're not bringing order to your life. And the more you bring order to your life, the more you clean up the schmutz, the easier these things get. But it takes one choice after another. You make a choice, then you make another choice. And if you're new to this process, you'll make a choice, you'll see the outcome, and then you'll make another choice based on the information that you just received. Life is a series of choices, as the ghost in this story began with, and things do happen as they're supposed to. It's our attachment of the agenda of an outcome that kind of mucks that stuff up and keeps us from being able to see it. In all of your exchanges with others, disclosing yourself can bring disorder. So why am I talking about this? What am I talking about this for? Because you will need to know the difference between your internal process, the things for you to learn, and not to teach others how to con you. Oftentimes when we start our journey, we get excited about it and we start talking to people about it who have a lot of opinions about how you should live your life. And I just caution you on that. Obviously, you can make a choice, do as you wish, and then, observe the outcomes of that. Observe the information that comes in when you are disclosing to others. But it can also feel like it brings disorder because everybody's got an opinion of your life, of what they think you should be doing. But the reality is that the choice belongs to you. The life belongs to you. You are obligated by nature to make your choices and to live your life. Now, you can live your life for others if that's what you want to do, but just know that you're no longer living the life for you. And you'll have to question for yourself whatever that agenda of outcome is, where you're wanting to live life for others and not for self. I say at the beginning and the end of every podcast, let each care for self and all are cared for. If we live by that mantra, if we did nothing else in the world, but live by that mantra, everything would shift in this universe instantaneously. I mean, instantaneously, because people are no longer playing games, scamming themselves, scamming other people. They're understanding that I live my life, I got to take care of myself, and everyone else taking care of themselves makes it possible for the world to exist in harmony. And when there's disharmony, it's because of all the shenanigans going on, right? But we need to know what the difference is between those things that I need to learn for myself and not teaching other people how to con you. So what can happen is you can start telling someone about your process, and then all of a sudden they start saying words and phrases, and they start acting in a way that makes it seemingly look like, oh, they're on my side, or, this person is attractive to me because they're using some of the same language as me. They don't have a clue what you're talking about. But what are they doing? They're conning you. They're scamming you. First, start with not scamming yourself, and then learn how others scam you and back away from it. Unless you kind of like that sort of thing. And then, have at it. That's up to you. It's your life. You get to decide no matter what.
Wait a minute. Wait, what if this wasn't a mistake? What if, like you always say, Roy, all is as it should be?
Not you, too.
Guys, what if we are here for Peter and Robert?
And on that note, we will end this year's podcast. I hope it's off to a good start for you. Hey, hit that like button if you would. Share it with your family and friends. You never know if it's going to help them on their journey as well. Let each care for self, and all will be cared for. I will see you next week. Make it a great week, and enjoy the journey.